All right, yeah, check this one out, bosses. The slow motion version of the wreck. Now you get to really see how insane this is.
Just traveling so fast.
It happened right when it got in the grass. As soon as it got in the grass, that's when it started to lift. And then this is just violent. I mean, look at this car. That is just amazing that something that weighs over 3,500 pounds get in the air like that.
How do you survive that?
Flying through the air. But as you mentioned, Jeff, 3,500 pounds.
Dude, that's insane.
Such a violent accident.
How dizzy would you be?
Thankfully lands on the wheels.
I will never experience what that man experienced in my life. Thank goodness. Speaking of NASCAR, I wanted to show this. This isn't a clip here. This is an article. No, you remember old Bubba Wallace? This has nothing to do with him, but kind of something to do with him. Bubba Wallace, who said he had a noose in his garage, but it was really just like something you used to pull the garage door down. It was just a rope to pull a garage door down. And I used to work at a shipping hub, and they had these ropes there all the time. There's nothing racist about them. They're just there to help you pull the door down. But I guess if you want to play victim your whole life, then everything is seen as a threat to you. You know what I mean? That's a real problem with the left, these days. But says NASCAR's race-based internship that excludes white people, sparks legal controversy. So basically, NASCAR is trying to do an internship for diversity, but white people aren't allowed to, to apply. You can only apply if you're a diverse person or a person of color or whatever. White people, no whites allowed anymore, anywhere. Whites, you're not allowed, bud. And that's racism in itself. I've talked about this many times. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And here's what I've said about this in the past. There's nothing stopping black people from playing any sport or doing anything that they want to do. They don't want to do it. And I'm not speaking for all black people. I'm speaking for a majority. Most black people don't want to be in NASCAR. They know the culture behind it. They know the history behind it. And making it more diverse, having Michael Jordan own Bubba Juicy Smallier's team. Michael Jordan owning a NASCAR team. Whoever would have freaking thought, dude? That's wild. That's ridiculous. But, having it where it's just like, we're trying to force diversity. We're trying to force people in here who don't even want to be in here. Oh, well, okay. It's the same thing as like hockey, dude. Like, I guarantee if more black people played hockey, they would rule the sport. I guarantee it. But guess what? Black people don't want to play hockey. Most of them. They're really great black hockey players. Don't get me wrong. Like, amazing. Some of them are legendary. Most of them just don't wanna. You know what I mean? Like, it has nothing, and I'm not being racist by saying that. It's just not what they're into. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, some of them are, but on the majority, when you're talking about something like this, I'm sure not a lot of diverse people or people of color or whatever you want to call them want to be in NASCAR. But now you're forcing them, you're giving them grants, you're giving them opportunities, and you're not hiring by the best people. You know what this is going to happen? You know what's going to happen with NASCAR now? You keep doing stuff like this, hiring people based on their race, which is racist, rather than if they're qualified. You're going to have the same thing that happened to that submarine that went to see the Titanic. Things aren't going to hold up. You're going to see crashes happen all the time. They're not going to be putting lug nuts on cars the right way. Car goes in for pit stop, change the tires. These limp, these scrawny arm people, woke left people, trying to put, I'm not calling black people or anyone, but this whole thing just screams of like, oh yeah, you get a chance because you're diverse. They're not going to be able to put the lug nuts on, bud. They're not going to be able to put the lug nuts on. Who knows? These kids might be awesome. They might be great at their job. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But for crying out loud, these interns trying to come in here, and first and foremost, would you want to be hired on that, or would you want to be hired on that you're actually good at your job? You know, you know what I mean? If you really cared about something like this, about defeating Whitey, then why don't you do it against Whitey? If it's all about not allowing Whitey in, why don't instead of just completely excluding Whitey, why don't it be an actual competition for a job and let your resume speak for itself? Your work experience in history, what you've done throughout your school career, besides just signing up for a diversity program. Dude, the world's going to fall apart if we keep doing stuff like this. Hiring unqualified people for jobs, especially jobs where people's lives are at stake. Like NASCAR is dangerous. Who knows who put the tire on that motorcycle that guy went down on? For crying out loud. I'm not saying they're not capable. Diversity hires are not capable. What I'm saying is they're probably less capable than hiring on qualifications and experience. But anyways, back to this article. It says, recent years have seen NASCAR come under fire for its progressive moves, from apologies related to political figures to suspending drivers over social media activities, which is a whole different subject for me bosses, which is insane. That they own you now at this point, online. If you are an athlete, if you're an athlete in this day and age, they own you online. You can't like something online on Instagram or Twitter or X or whatever. You can't be an athlete, or let's stick with that example. You cannot be an athlete in this day and age and like something online that's based or not woke. Do you know why? Because there's so much money involved in all the corporations that sponsor these professional sports that these athletes play in, that they can't have you going against that narrative of what they're trying to sell to people. So now they've sold their souls. You say something on there, your job's gone. You no longer have, you're indefinitely suspended because you liked something on Instagram. You didn't even post it. You just hit the like button or reposted it or something. Now you're out of a job, bud. Doesn't matter what your skill level is. But we're going to come in here and hire a bunch of diverse people just because of the color of their skin. That's racism. It's all pushing an agenda, the message, as they say. It's all part of that. It's wild, the world that we're heading into, man. It's really wild. Back to the article, fans have even threatened boycotts, drawing parallels with past Bud Light protests. I mean, NASCAR's kind of like dead anyway, right? Like, not a lot of, no one really talks about it, but unless they do something like this. NASCAR wished the LGBTQ community a happy Pride Month on Wednesday. I think this is probably from June, prompting anger and criticism from both sides of the political spectrum. It's just pandering, dude. They don't really care. NASCAR doesn't really care about people. It's all about ESG scores, advertising, seeming like you're woke. That's what it's all about. And everyone knows where NASCAR came from and everything like that. I don't think NASCAR is inherently racist. But let me tell you, I don't think a lot of diverse people are trying to get in there. That's all I'm saying, man. But make sure you keep up to date with me if you enjoyed that. And I promise I will bring you more and more great content in the future. So keep in touch, subscribe, watch my latest. There we go. Cheers. Hoff signing off.